Hey folks, today's this project today that we're going to be doing is building a workbench right here, workstation. Basically something a buddy here, it's his horse barn, and he's looking to put up just a little bench with a shelf, something he can come in, sharpen a chainsaw, do a little work on it. It's not going to be nothing fancy, just something basically just using what material we got kicking around and just making it work. So first step I got to do is basically clean out this area here, get everything out of here, and then I got to get ready. He's got some insulation there. He just said just put it in the walls on the lower part, and then he can deal. He's not planning on insulating this building, so he said he just put it on or whatever. He'll deal with the rest later. Okay, we got the corner cleaned out here. There is still some ice, but I'm not going to bother chipping that up because it's just going to have a shelf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the rest of this here foam, clean that a little bit up. Then one thing I noticed that I have to do is right here where we installed the door, I have to put a board behind this that's going to catch the plywood so that when it comes over it'll catch. I'll show you over here. You'll see this one here. See how it has a spot for the plywood to catch the backer board there. The other thing I noticed, these plugs here, they're probably 4.5 feet off the floor. With any kind of bench, an average or a standard height is about 36 inches. That's like kitchen countertop, stuff like that. So that's basically where you want your bench at. And if you're using it as a table, it's usually around 30 inches is a standard height. So what we're going to end up having to do, we're going to have to move them down. And the plugs are usually set at 42 inches. That's your standard height. That gives you, the plugs are just above the countertop. So that's one of the things we're going to have to do right now. So we'll get that board in, we'll move them plugs down, and clean that foam off, and after all that's done, I'll come back and show you. Alright guys, just getting started, getting ready to move them plugs down to where they should be, and we ran into a problem already. So this is the way it is with carpentry, always an issue. This plug here is about 2 feet higher than it should be. There's the mark, there's the plug. So I got to bring it down, but the problem is the wire that it's connected to doesn't have any slack. I can't bring it down. So I think the simplest solution is going to be, I'm going to disconnect this here, I'm going to disconnect this. I'm going to move this wire, drag it down over here, right beside the box here. I'll put another plug there, and from there I'll run another wire over to this plug and connect all 3 of them together. And then instead of having 2 plugs, he'll have 3 plugs. I'll put one over here somewhere. Yeah, it's always nice to have extra plugs anyway, but that's going to be the simplest route for me to take. And we got an extra plug, and I'm pretty sure he'll be. Okay folks, I got that wire moved. I put another plug in here. I just drilled some holes, came through the side, and I connected it here. So I just added a plug. I moved that wire there initially. I just pulled it out of the wall, dropped it down, give me the little bit of slack I needed. I just wanted to show you this. One thing people don't realize is you should always wrap the ground wire around the wire and always go on a clockwise turn, so that when you tighten it, it tightens the wire in. Same with when you do it on your plugs. You always bend the wire and wrap it around on a clockwise, and then when you tighten it, it tightens the wire into the plug. And then same with this way, always on a clockwise turn. The other thing is you should always staple your wires in the center of the stud, and you should have a staple at least 6 inches, no more than 6 inches away from the box. That holds everything in tight there. A lot of people don't bother with the ground or forget about it, but you got to make sure they're on there because it's just one of them safety things. And basically you wrap it around the ground screw inside the box and leave enough wire so that it can come out, connect to the plug. Got the insulation up 4 feet. It's basically just what we had kicking around, and that's all that we had. So the walls, the plywood's going to go up 8 feet. These walls are actually 10. So that little bit's not going to get insulated. But if he decides in the future he wants to insulate it and use it as a heated shop, which he never really intends on doing, he can just cut the pieces and slide them down tight. That'll get him by. And if this was a house or whatever, you'd put vapor barrier all along the walls and make sure everything's sealed nice and tight. But it is only a horse barn, and we're just basically using up the leftover materials. So I just wanted that part done, and now we're going to cover it up with plywood. Another thing I wanted to show you, if you're taking plugs out, because I got to leave this out in order to cut around it with the plywood. If you're going to be turning the power on, you should make sure that the edges are all taped up so you can't get a shock or electrocuted or nothing. I am going to have to turn the power on to use it for a little bit until the plywood's in, so I made sure I taped everything up just so that there's no open connection there. Okay, that's the wall plywood. That's as far as I'm going for now. He had 4 sheets of plywood kicking around, and I used up 3, and then there's 1 left for the bench. So I left the fuse box open there, so because there is going to be more wires ran. And I also didn't finish the top in case he wants to insulate it. He can push the insulation down behind, and it shouldn't be a problem. Easy access. But once the workbench goes in, there'll be no more getting behind it unless you want to pull it apart. So now that all the plywood's up and the electrical plates and stuff are back on, what I like to do is just give it a layout. I like to mark out my bench. We're dealing with 8-foot lumber. We got an 8-foot sheet of plywood. Basically 8-foot lumber as far as boards and stuff go. So the bench is going to be 8 feet across, and then I'm going to build 2 upper cabinets. Not a cabinet, just shelving, I guess. Just above it so you can store some stuff on there. We're just using what we got. So I'll take you along for the process. I got the outline marked out here. Basically what I did is I came 36 inches high, and I dropped a 1/2 inch for the plywood because this is the frame mark. And then I came over, I think I'm about 1.5 inches shy of 8 feet, and then that way the 8-foot plywood will overhang and just have a nice 3/4 inch lip. This is going to be, the frame will be on this side, and then this will be the rough board finished cap off right here. And that's what I'll do, just to give it the rough board look. He's got lots of rough board, so, and it is a barn. So right here you're going to see I'm going to go 2x4 on flat, so it's going to be 1.5 inches. And I'll do it on the flat. That should give it lots of strength. Then I'm going to put another shelf in the middle, 2x4 on the flat, same thing. This is going to be the finished frame. Right on this side will be a piece of rough board. And what I did is I took a 5-gallon bucket, and I made sure I could fit a 5-gallon bucket right underneath. So on the bottom shelf, because I like storing a lot of stuff in 5-gallon buckets, especially if it's outside. Keeps it nice and dry and easy to move around, and they have handles on them. So if you want to carry them around or take something, put it up on the thing, you can easily go through it and then put it back underneath. So, and then the upper part, there's going to be 2, you'll see the marks there. I'm going to make them 36 inches. The upper cabinet, 36 inches high, and I'm going to make them 19 inches wide. That way there, it keeps me away from the fuse panel, so they got lots of room to get in around that. Both sides will be the same. This side over here will be the same, 36 inches high, 19 inches wide. And what I did right here, might be a little hard to see. I'll come over this side, it might be a little bit easier. Is I made sure I was, from the return of the window, I was 4 1/4 to where I'm going to start. That'll give me 4-inch trim. Once I finish this out, I'll put a 4-inch trim right around the window. And then the side should butt in right into the side of the trim. One of the problems we got is that the window is not level. In a 4-foot level, it's probably out a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna put my cabinets up level, and then I'm just gonna trim, cut the trim to fit, make sure that it's looking good. That way the cabinet stays level, and it's only the trim that's off. And I don't. These are going to be the upper cabinets, folks. Basically, they're 36 inches long, so I just measured them and cut them. Then what I did is I'm going to have 2 shelves in between. So about every 12 inches, 12, 24, and then the top and bottom will be 36. So I just measured them, keep them the same, and then you'll see with the X, I'm going to cover that, and then I use my framing square, just basically so I have a straight square line across. And then what I'm going to do is put them up like this, put the pieces in between, screw them, and then I'll put a ledger board underneath it. And as I do that, I'll show it to you once I get the first one finished. Second one will be just the same. These here boards, these are the ones I glued together in my shop. I'll show you a little clip of that right now. Hey folks, this project here is going to be a cheap, simple workbench station. It's going to be at my buddy's place in his barn. He basically just wants something made out of whatever he got down there. A little spot that he can sharpen his chainsaw, do little projects, do a couple little things. It's going to be in his horse barn. These are the boards here. All I do is just do one edge. I basically just run a full bead of glue right down the whole thing, and I just smear it with my finger, flatten it out. It doesn't got to be perfect. You can see that there's a lot of wane in these boards. They are rough, and they got a little twists and turns to them. Just going to make a nice little shelf, basically like an upper cabinet for his workstation. And that's it. I got 5 clamps there. I'll clamp them on. Okay, I got that all glued together. Again, they're all rough and twisted. 5 clamps on it. Basically just want it to hold together while I screw a cabinet, make a cabinet out of it. I need to make up 4 of these panels. These are all the clamps I have right now. My shop is a wreck. I didn't get a chance to finish it yet. So I'll just wait 20 minutes and then I'll repeat the process until I got 4 panels glued. Show you. Okay, the first one is up, built and installed. I'll show you what I did. Basically just a square box with a couple shelves in it. And then right here I put a ledger board. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I screwed from the bottom up, and then that's what I screwed it into the wall. I did the same thing at the top. I did one up there. Sometimes people put one under every shelf, but he's not going to be storing real heavy stuff here, so it's basically, I got 4 screws in each side holding the shelves together all the way up. So for whatever's going to be going on these shelves, that's going to be plenty strong for that. And the next one that I put over here is going to be built the exact same way, the exact same size, and put on the exact same spot over on this side. I'll show you. There's the 2 upper cabinets finished there, folks. Just get ready. I'm going to start putting the bottom one together right now. That once it's all done. Basically, I just ripped 2 1-inch boards down to 1 3/4. I cut the 2x4s, made them the width so that they're like 23 inches, so that I have a little bit overhang. And then I just put them on 24-inch centers. Screwed them together, and then I screwed that to the wall. I had my level marks already put on. I just screwed it all in right there. I do the bottom shelf first, that way there's nothing in the way. No sense doing the top and then doing the bottom, trying to work around everything, crawl underneath. So just do the bottom. I'm going to do the exact same thing for the top, and then I'll screw that. All right, it's starting to come together now. I got the bottom shelf in, and the top one's framed out. And what I did for the leg is I just I ripped some piece of board and nailed them on the front face like that. I still got to add a couple more. I'm going to put one right over here at the very end. I'm going to put one right in the middle, and then I'm going to put another one at that end there. That'll help support the outer edge. The inner edge is all screwed right to the studs, right through the beam, right through the, that's put on. And then I'll put the top piece of plywood over that. And then I think for the back, I'm just going to put a board for like a backsplash, or right across the top, just to give it a little different look. And then that's pretty much it for this. I'll show you a final picture when it's all finished. And okay, these are the legs that I put on. Basically just ripped a couple boards right here to the height I need it. I leveled off of the wall. I just come out and level and then measure it down. You can see here, I just basically took the jigsaw, cut out a couple little notches in the plywood, just so that it would fit in and go down straight over. Same with this one and the far end one. Just something simple, folks. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to screw the plywood to the top, and I'm going to cut a board just for the back kick there, or whatever you want to call it, the backsplash, and I'll screw that onto the wall just to give it the look, and I'll get back to you one. Alright folks, this is pretty much the finished product here. Just a nice simple little workbench. I got all the legs on, the top here, the backsplash. It's all cleaned up. Real simple, real cheap. I think we got about maybe 8 man-hours into this project, and the only thing we really bought was the plywood. The boards we had kicking around. The plywood for the walls and the top here was probably around $125. I mean, if you can scrounge some old plywood or some old even pallet boards or something like that, you could still make a real nice bench, real cheap. There you go. Show you the upper part. I do have a little extra time, so I think what I'm going to do, if I can find the material, I'm going to build the window box. And for the window box, folks, what I do to find out the thickness is I go like that. I just put a square, and then I measure from the window out, and that's what I have to rip a board at for the window box. Then what I do is, you see this got a 3/4 inch return, so it's 3/4 inch material. So I put my tape right on this inner edge. I go all the way up and I measure it to the top of the inner edge there. And because it's 3/4 inches, I add 1.5 inches on the sides. That takes the top part and the bottom part. So I measure that, I add 1.5 inches. And then what I do for the inner part, I just measure from this corner all the way over to this corner, because you don't have to add the 1.5 inches for the stock on the bottom. So I just measure that. Then I rip all my boards and cut them to that length. Put the box together on the floor. And then I put it in place. Okay, I got the window box put together here. I'm just going to get ready to install it. So you can see, normally I just nail that, but it's really cold out and I didn't want it to split, so I pre-drilled and screwed it. Right here, I just ripped the boards 1 3/4 inches, because that's how deep it is into the wall. You can see right here why I had to add the 1.5 inches. So there's 3/4 on the bottom, and same up the top. I put 3/4 up the top. So that's why the sides get 1.5 inches longer. And the inside is whatever the measurement is on the inside. So you just put it in between and put it together. Now all you do is right here, this little lip, you just basically push the box into that little lip and then tap it in until it's flush with your outer wall. Whatever your outer wall is, you just want to flush to that. And then you just put some nails or screws into the side of the framework just to hold it in place. Okay folks, ended up running into some trouble again. All them plastic returns that were on there, they were all bent. So it was too hard to get the window box in. So what I ended up doing is I pulled out the plastic returns and I just butted the frame up to the window here. And then I did that all the way around. And then I shimmed the corners and the sides. And I just screwed it into the frame. But this window is about 1/2 inch off level. Whoever installed it didn't put it in level. So it kind of worked out for the better, because I took about 1/4 inch out of the box frame, and then I'll try to take the rest out of the trim so you don't even notice it. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, and it should look good. You won't even notice how off level it is into the window box here. So I got that all done. I got that screwed in. I'm gonna put the trim together. I'm going to show you how I do the trim. I don't do this all the time. I only do it the odd time with this type of trim because I'm just using rough lumber. And I'll show you how I do that, and then I'll put it on and I'll show you how it looks. This is the Craig's jig. I love this thing. It does a lot of stuff. Different things. You can make different projects with it. Basically a pocket hole jig. And what you do is you want to come in half the distance from whatever the thickness of the material. So if it's 1 inch, you come in about 1/2 inch. Then you clamp it down. And then you use this here drill. It's got a stopper and the proper bit. And you can drill the holes for the pocket holes for the screws. And then after you drill them, that's what it looks like. You got to do it on the back side of the lumber. And then you can screw the frame together. And I made lots of frames with this stuff. I use it for a lot of things. Picture frames, window frames. I did stair casings with it where you can just put the pocket hole and screw into the side. This thing is really good for a lot of different things. So that's what it looks like after it's all drilled. And then I'll show you once I screw. This is the back side of the frame. You can see where the screws and how it goes together. It just goes into the side. A lot of people use this stuff for cabinet frames and stuff like that. It works really good. Then you take this clamp. I'll show you. You just clamp the joint together before you screw it. Get it where you want. You clamp it together. That keeps the boards flat. And then you screw the screw into here and goes into the wood. Right now I'm just using regular wood screws. You're not really supposed to. They come with, you can buy packs of these screws here. They have like a flat head on them, and that's so that when it grabs the wood, it really tightens it up. Almost acts like a washer. Excellent system. I love it. This is the finished product here. Got the trim all in, the cupboard's all done, the bench is built, lots of storage. Fit the 5-gallon buckets in there. Good for storing stuff in. Right here, nice workbench. Lots of room to do stuff on. Lots of plugs. 3 plugs there. Very simple, folks. Very easy. Not a lot of money. Makes it work. So, if you like these videos, please subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. And hit the bell icon if it's something that you're going to be interested in watching. I'm going to give you a peek here. See this door? That's going to be probably the next video. One of these doors here. Just put an extra panel. It's a regular 9x7 door, but we added an extra panel and made it work. I'm going to throw a couple quick clips on different different projects that I got coming up. One of them is going to be the host that we purchased. I'll show you a picture of that, and it's probably going to be the springtime when we get into that. So please subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Thank you. This is the house we purchased. It's an old Victorian style home. I think we traced it back to 1902, and it needs some major renovations. So this is going to be the upcoming project in the spring. Look at it. Cross, it's all done.